All right, welcome back. Today we are going to be looking at a Fox News report where the officers involved with the recent George Floyd murder are going to be charged. And I started watching this video, and although I'm happy these officers are going to be charged, I just couldn't help but to kind of get a laugh out of this report. Fox News is just notorious for being fucking ridiculous. So we're going to go ahead and watch that and see you back here afterwards. All right, let's press play and we'll go from here.
A Fox News alert: Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar tweeting moments ago, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is increasing charges against Derek Chauvin to second degree in George Floyd's murder and also charging the other 3 officers. This is another important step for justice, as we've been hearing from protesters and from the Floyd.
Have a little enthusiasm, will you? Gosh, she's such a terrible reporter. I feel like the only reason she has this job is because she fits Fox News's cookie cutter style. Let me just go back really quick. Perfectly white woman with perfectly blonde hair with little brown roots underneath. That is the template for Fox News reporters. All right, let's go back to where we were before.
3 officers. This is another important step for justice, as we've been hearing from protesters and from the Floyd family. Let's bring in the mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota, Melvin Carter. And Mr. Mayor,
give it to her, Melvin.
Talk to you about some really remarkable scenes in your city, but let me get your reaction to this breaking news that that Keith Ellison, the Attorney General there, is going to increase the charges against Chauvin, and apparently,
dude, she can't even speak. How is this her job? She's stuttering. She can't seem to focus. She can't speak at all. This is just already embarrassing.
Charge the other 3 officers.
Thank you very much. I think that's absolutely critical. Everyone knows that the basic job of a police officer is to help when people are hurting. And so when we look at this video and see Officer Chauvin committing this gross atrocity against humanity,
I want to double that. This was a gross atrocity against humanity. It's absolutely absurd that it's even taken this long for not only him to be charged with murder, but the countless other cases of this happening in the past. There's so many officers who were never charged at all. So this is a fucking atrocity, and it's disgusting that it even had to go this far in the first place.
Against George Floyd, when we see that video of his murder, there's also a wrongdoing there. I've heard people say the officers who did nothing. That's inaccurate. Those officers assisted, they helped hold him down, they guarded the scene while it was happening, and that's unacceptable as well. All 4 must be charged, all 4 must be held accountable for their actions.
Do you believe that these additional charges will help the peaceful protesters feel like they...
She almost called them rioters. She can't help. It's just a Freudian slip. Outside of this, she's just been calling them rioters. It just totally diminishes the actual cause, the actual protest, what they're standing for. So yeah, definite Freudian slip there. She's definitely not with these people at all, and I don't expect her to be coming from Fox News. But let's keep it moving.
They have been heard, and that justice is on the way, and perhaps help quell the violence as well?
I think these charges will help people feel a little bit more that it's possible that maybe someone will be held accountable for George Floyd's murder. But let's be clear, none of this started with George Floyd. We have seen life after life taken. African-American, unarmed, unaggressive men and women whose lives have been taken in just hauntingly disturbing and unacceptable ways definitely over the past 10 years. But let me tell you, even before there were camera phones, my father and my grandfather and his grandfather could tell you about these exact same scenes playing out. The anger...
I think that's a great point. It's, everyone's making it seem like it's all about just this most recent case, but it's a long history of this happening and a long history of people getting away with it.
Community is real and it's understandable, and I think what's really going to help people feel a sense of justice is not just knowing that this one case is going to be followed up on, but knowing that we as a country are ready and willing to do the deep soul-searching type of work that it's going to take to make sure that this can never again happen in our country.
To that end, describe the scene for me earlier this week when you led an attempt at reconciliation.
I appreciate the question. You know, we woke up, same as everyone did, to just the haunting images on Tuesday morning of George Floyd's murder. Every member of humanity I know, our police officers, our CEO, our neighborhood activists, my neighbors in my community, look at that video and say that is just unacceptable. We cannot accept that as the status quo of how law enforcement operates in our community. And I think it's important.
Agreed, 100%. These kinds of murder and violence cannot just be the status quo. And it's funny how there's such a big focus on the violence that's been going on for the past couple of days with these protesters, but then the opposition just totally fails to recognize the violence that's been going on for hundreds of years, which has become the status quo, unfortunately. So just keep it going.
Important to note that the anger that we've seen around it, that the rage, that this enormous energy that we've seen around it is understandable. And the truth is, feeling angry about that is really the only human response. Unfortunately, there are some who manifested that anger in ways that were destructive and unacceptable and ended up further traumatizing and re-victimizing the same communities that are already traumatized by that video, the same communities that are already...
I'm glad that he touched on that, because there were a lot of small businesses that were burned down, looted, robbed, torn apart during all this. And I mean, I totally understand the anger and the frustration and the want to go just fuck shit up and loot stuff. And when it comes to like Target or Walmart, or I mean in these cases like AutoZone, the big companies, like I don't think there's a problem with that at all. I don't want to condone it, but I understand it. But to loot a small business is kind of fucked. And I've seen a lot of people saying like, oh well, they'll rebuild with, you know, these GoFundMe funds that people are putting together, but that's just not realistic to actually believe that they're going to be able to rebuild with a GoFundMe. Not only then do they need to repair and replace any products or goods, but what about the income that they're missing while they're in construction? We're talking about going from, you know, $800,000 donation to a possible couple $1 million donation. Like, it just seems unfeasible. Plus, maybe some businesses who were able to get the social media attention or media attention will be able to get that funding. But there's a lot of small businesses that aren't going to be able to get that attention and will 100% miss out on the funding. And so I do think a lot of the people that were looting have hurt the communities even more. Though I do want to make a comment that I have seen a lot of videos of like white people doing the looting. Like, it seems like they're out there breaking windows and stealing stuff. I've even seen videos of cops just smashing windows with no one even around. So it's hard to just pinpoint it on one person. It's the idea as a whole, not the individual person.
Traumatized by the history of violent policing in America. We can't do that, but we have to continue this energy. We have to continue to protest. We have to continue to press impatiently to make sure that the focus stays on the facts, that George Floyd should be still alive, that all 4 of those officers responsible for his death must be held accountable in a court of law, and that we have that deep work to do to prevent this from ever happening again in our community. So our call here and nationwide for me is for peace. Let's express our energy in a peaceful way, but not patience. Let's never return to patience. Let's not ask people to sit and wait while we
Mayor
slowly
Melvin
and
Carter.
incrementally decide.
Now that he wants to start talking about being peaceful and having an actual call to action, she's just so impatient to just cut him off and just get him off the screen now because it doesn't fit Fox News's narrative. They don't want the viewer to see someone on their side showing like care and compassion and peace. This is just typical Fox News. It's typical oppression. It's unconstitutional that she's trying to now get rid of him the moment he starts talking about being peaceful and continuing on peacefully but not accepting patience. I think that's pretty fucking disgusting that she's doing that, but it's typical Fox News.
Mr. Mayor, I need to get to the White House briefing. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the show. We'll stay in touch.
now that we've watched that, it just kind of goes to show that it's like, you know, at least they're being charged. I don't think the protest should necessarily stop. I don't think they should stop until there's a little bit more action taken. I mean, yeah, okay, they're going to charge the officers involved, but what about stopping this from happening in the future? I think they should continue going until we see actual like laws put in place that, you know, make it very clear that if, you know, you commit a murder on the job as an officer, you're going to be charged. It shouldn't be a matter of protesting and rioting to get that to be done. It needs to be the standard of like, if I'm an officer, I need to be more and more careful about how I treat people going forward so that I don't go to prison for murder, essentially. So that's kind of my take on it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to leave links below to places you can donate to the causes. And again, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like the video, and leave a comment just letting me know what you think about all of this. What's your opinion on the whole thing? I look forward to hearing from you guys. Be safe. Love you all. Bye.